All right, let's turn to this now. Former ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule has kept his promise and kept us guessing, but finally he's here, and we're hoping he'll reveal something at least. But he tells me that he's been through a number of meetings and still applying his mind. But we'll hear a little bit more from him. This, of course, is after he was expelled from the party for misconduct, after he unilaterally released a statement suspending the ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa. Magashule joins us in the studio. You can be a part of the conversation, 072-110-5584. Good to have you, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you,
referring to you for a while as suspended ANC Secretary General, now we say expelled. You get used to that idea, having been born in this party, well, not born in this party, but having been part of this party from an early age.
Well, I console myself by the fact that I fought for freedom. I did not just fight for the name, the African National Congress. I fought for the values, what the ANC stands for, ensuring that our people are free as a freedom fighter, and all those values, all those principles, building a non-racial, non-sexist, united democratic South Africa. But remember, Thabo, I said to you, we are still going to call a press conference, so I've promised everybody. So I don't think I'll go much into detail, but because there was some information over the weekend that Ace Magashule is rejecting EFF. I've never rejected EFF.
Let's talk a little bit about what has happened in the last 12 months. I mean, if we look at what you said in 2022, at least in your conversation with the Mail and Guardian, you say, this is a party of my bed. I will not be expelled. In fact, the words you used was, no one will expel me from the ANC. Now, today, you are saying, no, for me, it is very hot outside the ANC. In fact, it's summer. I'm about to harvest politically. It's two differing thoughts. What happened?
No, I haven't said that. Somebody citing me to have said I've said this. I'm going to harvest and what have you. What I've just said is that as a freedom fighter, the shield, my shield are the people. It has never been the name African National Congress. And that's why I want to come into serious details and tell South Africans what is actually happening. And I can't talk bad about the African National Congress as if I have not been part of it. It has not been my home. When I said I still consult, I still want to meet, and I've arranged to meet the leadership of the African National Congress. And that's why, immediately I've done so, I will be free to talk to you, because Gasisutu Amzwana, but Gasisutu Baru, Uskanyala Sidiba. Don't act as if the ANC has been such a bad organization. The organization is different from leaders. Leaders are not ANC.
So you've never uttered a word that says the ANC is dead?
No. It can't be my way to say, what? No. You will hear me, because that's the movement I respect. And there's no way I can say to the ANC, go to hell. I respect that organization because it's my home, it's the home of a lot of freedom fighters, people of South Africa. But it is not the only, the fact that I'm still continuing. There's no wilderness. For me, there's no wilderness. You must ask Comrade President of the EFF. There's no wilderness. Malema is still there. Olomisa is still there. I will still be there, more active.
What would have made you not to make representation? I mean, you knew the party, it informed you that it intends to put these extreme internal disciplinary measures, and they called for you to at least show cause why you shouldn't be expelled. Why did you choose not to make representation?
Maybe let me talk about it, and I wish I was with my legal rep, but not legal in the sense that if you have an issue, you must be represented by another member of the ANC. In this case, Ramaphosa has been dealing with my matter, and I will actually tell you why.
Maybe not legally, but politically.
No, politically. Matthew has been political. I've been dealing with this matter for many years. One of the things which I can just say for you, so that to understand, since the unbanning of the ANC and during the banishment of the African National Congress, and that's how I understand the ANC, and that's how it works, even in terms of the Constitution. The committees of the African National Congress, subcommittees, are formed by elected members. Now, when I was dealt with, because there were these things since I was suspended, people then established non-elected members to be members of the National Disciplinary Committee, members of the National Appeals Committee. It has never happened that non-elected members become these committees. But that's why I'm just letting you know this part. Yeah. So I'll talk about it in terms of the ANC, how the ANC operates, and you can see that people don't understand. And people will say, no, it's a different ANC. Of course, it's a different ANC. It's not, it has lost that character. And I want to talk about the ANC once I have talked with the leadership of the African National Congress. I have talked to my branch.
Right.
My branch, because that's the basic unit.
I wanted to talk to you about that as well. We saw an incident at the Tomaole taxi rank on June 16. What went through your mind when you saw? They are saying it's a grouping. It's not necessarily all of them members of the ANC. Some are members of the ANC, but they were burning ANC T-shirts.
If you know my township, that's where I grew up. Yeah. And that's the township on July 15, 1984, which sparked the entire country. And it moved from July 15 to September 3. From September 3 in the valley, it moved to Craddock. And the whole country catches fire. If you know, I am definitely sure those people are members of the African National Congress. I've seen them. You want to see them with membership cards and membership forms. If I was still a member, I was going to organize them and say, please show your membership cards and membership forms. So it's just to say, no, they are not members.
Well, I'm sure they are members. Not all of them, they say, not a majority, but certainly they are members. Otherwise, the
majority are members.
The current Secretary General would not be going there to address the situation. So, because you can't go and address people who are not your members.
No, those are members.
Yeah.
I've talked to my branch executive committee.
Yeah.
I've talked to my branch members.
Right.
I've talked to membership of the ANC in the entire province.
Yeah. Would you say it's a representation or a sample of the feeling in the region? Because that's what they are disputing. They're saying a strong mass base in Fezile Dabi region stands, for example, by this decision.
You know that is my region.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
And
what I'm asking you.
I was also I moved from the branch to a region. Yeah. From a region to a province, from a province to national. Yeah. I've gone through the levels. So I will talk on behalf of those members, and I will tell you whether they are members or not members when I address the entire press conference, because I don't want people to say, but why you have said that you are going to talk at the press conference? Why do you give a newsroom?
Well, because we are newsroom.
Yeah, because we are newsroom. And I think I did agree at some stage with you that indeed, I'll start with you.
Yes. No, absolutely. So you are on a path, you're saying, of consulting with leaders of the ANC. Am I understanding you correctly? Never mind your meetings with the economic freedom fighters, but with leaders of the ANC, and I suppose you are maybe also having conversations, because I've seen with UDM leader Bantolo Misa and others. Is that the process that we're embarking on right now?
Well, I've consulted. First and foremost, I can't just go and consult national leadership. I belong to the basic unit called the branch of the ANC. before you go anywhere, you join the ANC at branch level. Except that when the ANC was banned, I did not join the ANC through anybody. And that's why I will be able to elaborate my position. And I can just assure you that I'm nowhere in the wilderness, and where I am still very hot. If people want to make it cold for me, I'm sure it will be a pound for pound. It's not that. But I've consulted, and I'm consulting. So my first consultation was with the branch. Of course, on June 16, when these things happened in Paris to Mahule, when they banned the ANC T-shirt, if I knew I was going to talk to them and say, you don't do that, you don't express anger. If you want to leave the ANC, leave it nice. Because the values were fought for, the principles were fought for. It's not the name African National Congress. So why do you fight the ANC? There's no need to fight the ANC. If you move as I'm expelled, it means I will move. Of course, I've met, this afternoon I met with the Secretary General, Comrade Marshall, the Secretary General of EFF. I've been meeting with him, I'm sure, more than 3-4 times. I've met on the 16th when they banned T-shirts. I was here. I've never gone to the Free State and agitated anybody. I will never do that. What I will do, I will go to the masses of our people in the Free State and inform them about my expulsion. I'll inform the masses of South Africa, not just through television and newspapers and social media. I must physically go to them. I will go and inform all my friends, including my leadership, those who are leaders of my province and region. I will have to, and inform the rest of the ANC leadership across the country. Right. It's the right thing to do. Then I come to the media. I'm taking the whole of this week. I think definitely next week, Monday, I will have a press conference. So Malema, Comrade Malema, is my comrade. Yeah. Indeed, he's right when they say they are engaging me. He's my comrade. Malema comes from...
In fact, if memory serves me well, at some point when you were still unsuspended as the SG of the ANC, you made reference of the fact that the ANC should go and maybe have conversation with Julius Malema to see if he can return to the party. Am I correct?
Julius Malema is an activist. Is a comrade. Is a person who was in COSAS. Julius Malema did not fire himself or expel himself from the ANC. Julius Malema, luckily, is the likes of Peter Mugaba. Pell, I've worked with Peter Mugaba. Julius Malema has worked with Peter Mugaba. He has worked with somebody who has worked with me when she was in Brantford and when she was in Soweto, Comrade Winnie Mandela. And we were very close, and that's why I met President Holomisa of UDM, because during the years of struggle, President Holomisa of the UDM was the one providing us with arms, with guns. So it's not just I'm going to anybody. When I meet Dalimpofu, when he was my lawyer, it's because I was in trenches with him during the student struggles. If we can sit down and... with Malema and Mpofu, and we tell you about, and many others, we tell you about the UDF cabal, you'll be surprised. And that's why you can't say I shouldn't meet such guys and talk to them when they want to engage me, but I will still make my own decision. I have not yet decided what to do. I've not yet formed a new party. Yeah. When I will decide. I've met Kenny Kunene. He's my homeboy, comes from the same province. Yeah. Gayton Mackenzie, homeboy, comes from Bloemfontein, Heidedat. We come from the same province. I've met, as I said, I've met Comrade Kgalema. Yeah. And I did actually say, President Kgalema, President Mbeki, I'm making this public, and at the right time I will. But what I discuss with leaders, I come from that school which says respect, because we were discussing in confidence some of the things. If they say, just talk, I will do so. But
let's talk about this.
I will never just
Did you raise the issue with the former President Kgalema Motlanthe of your nominations letter for the conference in 2022, and then later on they say, no, you were vetted, and because of this court thing, you can't stand? Did you discuss that and clear the air?
No. What we have agreed, I spent almost 9 hours with President Zuma. I'll be seeing him, I'm sure, maybe next week or this week, I don't know, but I'm seeing him. But with President Kgalema, we discussed, and we said we'll continue discussing. Because I said, I made a joke that people said I'm not eligible, I have not even nominated. I knew that I have been nominated. Yeah. And then when the likes of some guys who went to court to say these nominations have been otherwise rigged, I then, after some days, found a notice that I've been nominated. I said, but President Kgalema was there to say, as the electoral committee, these are the people nominated. How did they left me? And later on I'm informed that, and they said, you accept or decline? Then I said, but it's obvious, I've been charged. Yeah. And you have told that if you are criminally charged, there was no need for them to send me a letter to say, are you declining or are you accepting? So you can see, maybe I will elaborate on that matter in the press conference.
Let's take a break. We'll continue in a moment as we unpack some of these issues, as you can hear for yourself in the conversation. Still anticipating that press conference where he is going to shed a little bit more light on his future and where he's going. But we'll try and probe nonetheless as he is here and get as much as we possibly can. In Focus continues in a moment, and you can send us your thoughts, 072-110-5584. Otherwise, tweet at Newzroom405. Still with us in the studio is Ace Magashule, expelled member now of the African National Congress, still contemplating his next move, but he says by Monday, clearly, he would have made his decision and ready to announce what his future plans will be. But there's great appetite of people wanting to engage with you. One of the questions that I saw a little bit earlier on Twitter when we announced that you will be paying us a visit is people wanting to find out your thinking around the decision to suspend President Cyril Ramaphosa. What power did you think you had at that time to do that?
Well, I will say to people, and I will elaborate more, I will say to people they must read the ANC Constitution, first and foremost, and they must read the powers given to the Secretary General. And once they have read and understood the Constitution and the clauses, because I'll give you the clauses which gives me power, because I have also written letters suspending other members of the African National Congress. It's only when it happens up here that Magashule has no powers. How many of the councillors allegedly involved during COVID activities, this and that, how many letters did I sign saying, you are no more, you are now expelled? Yeah. How did I originate those powers?
What does that decision not emanate from a collective decision?
No.
Gwede Mantashe says, no, Ace Magashule can't be an individual and make a decision on his own outside of structures. Decisions in the ANC are made within structures, and therefore it's a collective decision, not an individual decision.
I don't want to go back and say when Gwede Mantashe was Secretary General, this is how the ANC was operating. When I came in, it was now about the top 6. No. I was the chair of the province, and I was a member of the National Executive Committee. Even when we're dealing with matters of premiers, executive committees, MECs, and it was another way. When I came in, the threat was now Ace Magashule is going to do a lot of wrongdoings and all that. No. And I am that leader who cannot be told what to do.
So they were trying to micromanage you. Is that what you say?
Of course. I understand the ANC. I understand it far, far, far better because the rest of my life I have been, before some of these leaders became leaders of the National Executive Committee. I served under the National Executive Committee of President Mandela, President Mbeki, President Zuma. I was the chair from 92. I was ex officio. Even the other time when President Zuma was there, I was elected as the chair, but I was directly elected into the National Executive. And I started my politics at community level before I was moved, mobilized into an organization. And from an organization, then I became a leader. So if you have jumped community activist membership and you jump all the stages, we can't understand the ANC the same.
Yeah. You mentioned Julius Malema and his activism and your relationships and how it all coincides and how he didn't expel himself from the party. Of course, it's a conversation that is out there, that the chair of the National Disciplinary Committee at the time was the current president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa. He's the president now, somebody else who is the chair. However, you are expelled.
But he was the National Executive Committee member.
Yeah.
He was not just a member outside.
Yeah.
He was an elected leader.
Do you think there's a connection between these two expulsions? In terms of the commonality of the person that is Cyril Ramaphosa?
Next week, I will want you to... You remember there was an article, and a certain Mr. Rupert said, this man, this weekend, must go. And that time, that weekend, on Zoom, out, Magashule expelled. So I was expelled long ago. I will bring those articles. I'll send them to you so that you put them there so that the public can remember that I was expelled because a certain Mr. Rupert said, if you don't expel this man, I'm not going to support you, Mr. President.
And so that decision you're saying was not taken by the ANC?
Oh, that decision was taken long ago, and I will tell you that it was even taken outside the country because I'm in touch with friends internationally who are still freedom fighters, who care about our relationship, who care about the ANC, the mass and the organization of the people, but who see it otherwise and differently today.
Many people are interested in hearing your views about the ongoing debate about Russia and the Ukraine war and the president of Russia coming to South Africa and how that is being handled by the ANC.
Well, I'm sure President Mbeki have talked about it. I think I also heard Comrade Khalema talking about it. Our relationship, you see, in politics, this is what we always emphasize. And even Comrade Lindwe Sisulu likes emphasizing it. And a majority of people who understand the ANC, ideology is important. You don't just react because of events globally, events locally. Ideology. The organization has an ideology. And that's why we have always said there is no way the African National Congress, and this is one fundamental difference between us and others, that we declared DA as an ideological enemy. Others see DA not as an ideological enemy, and that's why we're closer to Malema and the rest. Those are ANC comrades who left. Those are ANC comrades in EFF who say nationalize the Reserve Bank, expropriate land without compensation, a state bank. Same resolutions of the African National Congress. Same guys who were in trenches, who have fought, who don't know any other thing except being freedom fighters. My strength and my belief and conviction is that for as long as I work for the people on the ground, I work for the poor, in blacks in general, Africans in particular, and white South Africans, because people have created this feeling of we hate whites. No. I went to jail, I went to exile because I fought for a non-racial, non-sexist, united, prosperous South Africa. Yeah. And I've seen that note that says RET grouping. There's no RET grouping. Policy of the African National Congress taken in 2017 was about radical economic transformation. And when people were pushing it, pushing radical economic transformation, people started labeling them to say RET group. No, I'm not part of any RET group. I'm one of those people who understood that the resolution policy position we have taken is about radically transforming the economy of South Africa, which must be in the majority in the hands of black people, Africans in particular. I will die saying that our black people...
that you raised that, because one of the charges that you're being charged with is contravening rule, I think is 2517(3), if I'm correct, which is failing or refusing or neglecting to execute or comply with ANC policy, standing order, rule, regulation, and resolutions adopted. I'm highlighting the resolutions adopted because you're bringing it up.
Resolutions adopted. I think I was here at some stage and I said, let's read all the resolutions from one to the last point.
So are you saying all those NEC members essentially should be charged with the same charge and expelled, maybe? Because that's, I suppose, the reason why, amongst others.
I suppose the step aside was meant for Ace Magashule, because a certain Mr. So-and-so said, if that man doesn't go, and a certain Mr. So-and-so has the money, and I always also listen to former Chief Justice. He says this corruption thing, the Kuptas were just a distraction. And then I think South Africans are realizing, they are going to realize, we must just actually talk real things and the truth for our people, especially black African people, especially the black middle class. Where are they today? Those people, I was part of the alliance, SACP COSATU. We are against the selling of SAA, and we are almost there. We are almost there in terms of expropriation of land without compensation. President Holomisa will tell you, Floyd from EFF will tell you, Dali, Matthew Posa, Nadel, there was a clause written that now we are going to pass in Parliament because we needed 2/3. And when I left, something changed. And you want to blame EFF for not actually supporting you in terms of appropriation of land. We had already agreed that this is the phrase we are actually going to do. Check with Maggie Posa, check with Dalim Pofu, check with Naden, and check with Floyd, check with Bantu Olomisa.
So we are led to believe that part of the reason why it didn't pass was because the EFF wanted the land to belong to the state.
No, there was a clause we have all agreed on. You can put Murphy here, Dalim Pofu here, Bantu Olomisa here, Floyd here. And I can come with one or two people, including the deputy president now, because I was leading the delegation. From the ANC, we were about 4 or 5. And this is what the public sometimes need to know. Yeah. But I come from that generation which has been taught how to keep some of the things. I'm not like, one of the things I differed with leadership of the ANC is to allow the media into an ANC meeting and then we tell you that we have decided so and so and so and so. After the NEC, there must be a press conference.
Yeah.
And I was told, leaders have different style of leadership.
Okay.
I said, but it has never happened in exile. That's never happened since the unbanning of the ANC. I see it for the first time. And as a person who understands the ANC. So to those who think there is an RET grouping, there's no such a thing. That if there are people who group themselves as RET, something else. But RET was a policy position taken at conference, radical economic transformation. And then people, to soften it, they say radical socio-economic transformation. It's still fine, but it's RET. It's radical. And the economy must go into the hands of black people in general and Africans in particular. We must still fight that struggle.
Right.
Economic freedom.
And I want to hear from you why you are not joining that party that claims to be RET in a sense. But I've already given you
Which party is that one?
Of Carl Niehaus. That particular party.
I don't know whether Carl Niehaus' party is RET.
Well, I mean, it's clear to be pushing exactly that.
Those are comrades who actually espouse what they call radical economic transformation.
Yeah.
If they group themselves, no, not along the resolution of conference, then they were making a mistake. Okay. And that's why maybe people will remain few and few and few and few. But generally, the entire membership of the ANC understand. And that's why the Youth League of the ANC, under Malema and Balula, were actually fighting for radical economic
I'm going to take a break. I've already given you a tease of what people want you to answer, so I'll put those questions again for you and let you address those questions from our viewers. Ace Magashule joining us in the studio today. We're back in a moment. You have sent through your questions, 072-110-5584 for Ace Magashule, who is in the studio with us today. Not revealing much about his future plans, but will certainly be doing so on Monday. Let's have a look at what you're saying tonight on WhatsApp that you would like him to address. Anonymous saying, why has Ace Magashule refused to embrace the project of ANC renewal and unity post-2017 Newzroom conference to a point where he became so divisive together with other RET forces, there's that word again, plotting against presidency of Ramaphosa? At what personal or even political benefit?
Well, what people don't know is that 2012, there was no President Ramaphosa. 2012 conference in Bloemfontein, Mangaung, the South African Communist Party, the Federation of Workers, COSATU, many comrades across the country, branches. President Ramaphosa was not nominated to become the deputy president. Zweli Mkhize refused to be deputy president. When Zweli Mkhize refused, I was approached. I refused to be deputy president. I was nominated with Comrade Baleka to be national chair. And we agreed that let's live. And we came together. It was myself, Supra Mahumapelu, Didi Mabuza, Nomvula, Zweli Mkhize, Sihle Zikalala. We're about Phumulo. We're about 7, 8. And we discussed and we said, Zweli Mkhize doesn't want to come. Ace Magashule doesn't want to come. Then we approached Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa. If I did not want President Ramaphosa, why would I have actually gone to that extent of saying President Ramaphosa? And when many comrades and others, and even we warned that please don't do it, we felt that, and we said to people, they still blame us today. I said, I thought we were right. And if we made a mistake, if it's a historical mistake, it's a historical mistake. Don't blame us. Spill milk. So I want to put that context. And I've never been part of any RET forces. Because I say RET, radically, because it's the policy of the ANC. When people were denying that we have taken such resolutions, so there's nothing to benefit. I've never worked with white monopoly. They have never captured me like they have captured a lot of people. I will, until the last part of my life, years of my life, I will fight for blacks, and I want black unity. I will fight for Africans in particular, because we are in the majority.
Yeah.
I will fight that radical economic transformation must happen in our lifetime, and that's why I will support Malema and the others.
You've made that point. Here's the question that you really came to answer because of the weekend reports. Please ask Ace Magashule if it's wise to form a political party, as we are told by some media, instead of joining the EFF, so that we can have more numbers to decisively remove the ANC. Formations of many parties won't weaken the ANC.
That is true. And that's why maybe at some stage when I had discussions, I can't remember when, a year ago, or I sat with President Zuma. And he said, you know, during the Anglo-Boer War and after the Union of South Africa, whites decided to come together. And they said divide and rule. And since 1994, we form a lot of parties, When we, black people, are supposed to come together, unite, and actually as a majority run this country, and actually ensure that we have the economy in our hands. A black businessman must deliver bread in Soweto, must deliver bread in the Vaal, must deliver bread in KwaZulu-Natal. We must own the land, we must own property, we must own mines. And that's how they divided us. And what the DA is actually doing is going to form a lot of many other parties, SA Action, this one and that one, Goluva, this and that. And then we fall into that trap also. So we need to come together with EFF. We need to come together with Malema, with Kenny Kunene, with PAC, with Azapo. We are thinking, and I'm thinking, of actually checking with those leaders as to whether what will be wrong for us to come together as black parties which are not racist, and come together and talk. Let's have a discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's close with this one. Has the former SG accepted the expulsion, and will he appeal the expulsion? And as we do that, also answer this question that many are saying, that when Ace Magashule leaves the ANC, in fact, there's somebody who said they're expecting some of the members of the NEC to also leave the ANC. And they're expecting, I suppose, a huge chunk of the people of the Free State, some, to leave, who are part of the ANC, to leave the ANC and go with Ace Magashule.
You know, I spent many years of my life in Gauteng. During the years of struggle, I worked with the likes of Mashatile, Moses Maekiso. I stayed in Alex for 2 years. I stayed in the underground. I was in Vosloorus, I was in Tembisa, I was in Soweto. I know Gauteng as a whole. I know because all of us, we were here, from Peter Mokaba to all the comrades throughout the country, even during the state of emergency. I worked in the underground for many years. I took a lot of comrades out of the country. Some of my commanders who commanded me in the underground, luckily they are still alive. So I don't expect any young white man write a book about me and never talk about my credentials. My credentials are credentials with ordinary people there. I come from the ground. I never emerged from nowhere. And that's why I will never ever be captured. If you are captured in South Africa, you will forget about black people, you will forget about Africans, you will forget, you will think that you have arrived, and you will realize later with time, the next elections, that, so those who worry about black parties or all of us not coming together, what did we fight for in the Freedom Charter? Freedom of association, freedom of movement, affiliation, joining your own whatever political party. Yeah. This is what I've laid my life for. Right. So allow me to belong anywhere. But I can tell you that here in Gauteng, this is where I spend a lot of time.
All right.
Free State, I know every street, every town.
Yeah.
Even in Gauteng, in the Vaal, in Ekurhuleni, I know every town, I know comrades throughout the country. In Northwest, I'm Tswana speaking.
Right.
I know My relatives, my friends are in Northwest.
Right.
So I know a lot of comrades I've struggled with, not those who think about Magashule.
Yes.
Who is he now? This guy likes power. I never liked power. I never thought I would be premier. I never thought, and that's why I refused in '94 to become premier. And people said Mbeki Mandela did not want to. And there is a book which said Magashule is not even educated. That's why Mbeki rejected him. That book, I'll bring it next time, because I promised you after the press conference, you will be the first media house.
But I will. That's somewhere in there. It says, leave me to also exercise my freedom of association. If you understand, you know what he's saying there. In Focus continues with your headlines in a moment. Stay with us.